So, my oldest son encouraged me to start a series telling stories about my life. I wasn't really interested when he mentioned it, but the more I thought about it, I considered it could be therapeutic. Human memory is far from perfect, and I have had a few head injuries in my adulthood, so I often feel like there are holes in many of my memories. So when I encounter those holes, I tend to fill them in with things that just make sense to me. With that disclaimer in mind, these are the stories of Joe. In 1995, I was living in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, with my parents, the younger of my two older sisters, and my older brother. I'm the youngest of four, by the way. While living there during El Nino, we experienced several tropical storms and small hurricanes, but October of 1995 was unlike anything I had ever seen at age 11. Hurricane Opal was a Category 4 hurricane moving through the Gulf of Mexico. At its peak, winds were 150 miles per hour. If my dad had his way, we would have buckled down in our two-bedroom apartment and waited out the storm. But local police had other ideas. A mandatory evacuation was ordered. I specifically remember my sister telling us, "I think we need to evaporate." My parents were quick to correct her. In terms of transportation, we had two options: a Pontiac Firebird with bucket seats, which was made to seat 4, or a Ford F-150 with bench seating for 3. You do the math. We ended up evacuating in the truck. My dad drove, my mom rode in the passenger seat, and my sister rode in the middle. My brother and I volunteered to ride in the bed of the truck, which was one of our favorite things to do. Whether you have been involved in a government-mandated evacuation or just seen one on TV, you know that traffic moves a little differently. As a driver, I now understand how stressed out my dad must have been, but in the back, my brother and I were having a good old time. It was just scary enough to be exciting, but not scary enough to be, well, scary. Moods changed when evacuating took so long that we were still on the road when Opal made landfall. First, the winds started hitting hard enough to push cars sideways, making occasional sideswiping collisions. Then, sideways rain came in like machine gun bullets. Finally, the temperature dropped rapidly and hail fell from the sky. Remember, my brother and I were in the bed of the truck while this was happening. We put whatever we could over our heads to block the hail, and for the first time, and the only time, we snuggled together to share body warmth. That was the worst of it for me. We got out of Florida and went back to our hometown outside of Atlanta, where my grandparents lived. We stayed with them for the duration of the storm. That first night, even in the middle of Georgia, we felt the effects of Hurricane Opal, with super fast winds and heavy rain. By the time it was over, Opal had taken the lives of 63 people and caused $4.7 billion in damage. Where we lived, 300 homes were completely destroyed. A family decision was made to move back to Georgia permanently and get away from all the hurricanes. However, when we went back to Santa Rosa to pack up whatever was left, we found many of the homes surrounding ours were damaged, but our own home was not. It had been spared by Opal. That did not change the decision to move, though. In retrospect, the best part about moving home to Atlanta in October of 1995 was being there to watch the Atlanta Braves defeat Cleveland in the World Series with my brother, my dad, and my granddad. These are the stories of Joe.